Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Rob Perry. I'm going to be standing in for Mayor Barry this morning. He actually is a couple of blocks away at the Innovate ABQ that is going a lot longer because there's a lot of folks speaking that event. And it's going a lot longer than he expected, and he asked if I could sit in and stand in for him today and do Friday's Heroes and Volunteer of the Week and Good Samaritan of the Week. And what we're going to do, as far as just some housekeeping, is we're going to start with Friday's Heroes and an APD award that's a great story, and then follow it up with a second really good story about public service and Liz Jones, who's going to be awarded Good Samaritan. And then lastly, Evelina Gonzalez is a volunteer of the month who has her family and friends with her as well. So we're going to start basically with Friday's Heroes, as I said, which is usually a public safety award that's given to a firefighter or a police officer or Homeland Security or someone involved with that type of work by the mayor. We do it usually every week in a ceremony to honor that type of public safety service. And I've been in government and in public safety work for almost 30 years, and I remember a leader telling me one time that you never know when is going to be your chance to be the most important person in someone's life, at a particular time. And this story about an APD, a special APD officer that's with us, is a great story. And let me start out by recognizing Paul Haw?
Yeah, that'll
Haw?
How or Haw?
Okay, Paul Howe. And he's Friday's hero. And this is a great story about him replacing a 15-year-old and 13-year-old stolen bike, children's stolen bike. On an afternoon in June of 2016, Fabian and Juliana were at a San Mateo store in southeast Albuquerque back in June of 2016. And they parked their bikes in front of the store like many kids do in our community. And they went into the store and they locked them to a rack like you're supposed to do. And they went in the store. And after being in the store for only about 20 minutes, Fabian and Juliana found out that their bikes had been stolen and that there were only pieces of the lock that were remaining. They were on the ground. So while patrolling the store, Paul made contact with the two children, and he knew the siblings previously. And when he greeted them, he could tell that they were very distraught. They explained to Paul that someone had broken their bike lock and stolen their bikes. It was pretty obvious. And Paul asked them to contact their father to pick them up. And he tried to identify a suspect through some some security cameras there at the business. And he was unable to locate any footage of the bikes being stolen. So while they were waiting for Dad to come back, Paul actually asked the two kids to go back into the store, and he took them into the bicycle section. And he asked them to pick out 2 new bikes so that they would go home with bikes. They were pretty excited, as I can imagine any child would be, to get a new bike under any circumstances, and certainly under these. And they chose bikes to replace their stolen bikes. And Paul picked the 2 heavy-duty U-bolt type locks to make sure that the incident wouldn't happen to the bikes that he bought. He paid for those bikes and the locks with his own money. And I can't imagine that was cheap. And you can see he has this beautiful family, beautiful wife, and beautiful daughter, so he probably has his own financial responsibilities. But he took it upon himself to basically try to, make those kids' day a little bit better from the experience that they had had. And because of that sincerity and that compassion, he was awarded the Bill Daniels True Blue Award, which is an award that recognizes superior service-orientated officers in Colorado, New Mexico, Utah, and Wyoming. And he's been on with us at the APD for about 10 years. He's a great officer in the Southeast Area Command. Lieutenant Rob Middleton put in his nomination. Thanks for doing that, LT. This is a great one. And it obviously demonstrates that he understands his community. He has relationships. When you talk about community policing, next time you hear somebody say, well, we need to do more community policing, this is probably about the most personal community policing you can do when you think about it. and he creates trust and confidence in his department, that badge, that uniform, and that organization that he represents so well. With that, I'm going to let Chief say a couple words, and then I'd like to just give Paul a very humble award.
Thank you, Mr. Perry. As Mr. Perry stated, Paul was recognized by the Daniels Fund earlier this year as a result of his generosity. But what's interesting about Paul is that he's one of our senior officers on the Albuquerque Police Department, but he bids to the exact same beat, the exact same area command, and he's been there for over 5 years serving in the Southeast. And he does an absolute wonderful job. I think his generosity speaks to his true heart about how he cares for the people that he serves. I cannot imagine being 13 or 15 and having my bike stolen and then not knowing what to do. The kids had just come from the swimming pool and decided to go to the Walmart. They did everything that we teach kids to do about securing their bikes, but someone did destroy the locking system and stole their bikes. And I just cannot imagine. It's one of those things where you wish you had the security footage from Walmart just to see the expression on these two kids' face when he took them back to the bike rack and let them pick out probably the best gift they've received in many, many years. So, Paul, and to your family too, I can tell you this is not his first act of generosity to the community that he serves in. It's the one that he's being recognized for today. So Paul, congratulations for what you do every single day, not only to protect and serve our community, but you understand what it means to take care of our next generation. So congratulations.
So give him a hand.
We'll say a couple of words. Thank you.
That's awesome. We have a very humble gift that the Merit Commission for Public Safety Heroes, and we give this out with pride, and we hope that he puts it in his trophy case with his photo of when he was commissioned and all the other good stuff, and just doing a great job serving our community. So it's my honor and privilege to give that to you, buddy. Thank you so much for the great work. Well, this award, basically, at first I was reading through it, and it's entitled the Good Samaritan Award, and we give out Good Samaritan Awards as well. Usually we have an Employee of the Week, and so I was confused because it said that Liz works as an accountant in the Environmental Health Division, and it's a little bit of both, because it was great as an employee to have an employee win the Good Samaritan Award. And it's a pretty heartfelt story, and I actually had a similar experience in my life, so it kind of really touched on me. I was a young guy at the time, and my deal's different than hers, but it kind of hit home. So we're recognizing Elizabeth Liz Jones, who works in the Environmental Health Department, as I've said, for the City of Albuquerque, for the Good Samaritan Award for saving the life of a dog that was hit by a car. Last July in the morning, Liz witnessed a German Shepherd that was lying in the middle of the road by Comanche and Moon, and it was bleeding and it was distressed. And we probably, a lot of us have had an experience where you see something like that, and it's like, I want to stop, I want to do something, but you got your own things to take care of. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. So she witnessed this very difficult situation, and knowing that she had to immediately act to save the dog's life, she called her supervisor in environmental health, probably Mark DeManor or Danny or one of those guys, right, that are in the audience, and said, well, I'm going to be late for work. And you didn't need to do that. We probably would have been okay, but that's the kind of person she is. And so she calls to work, says she's going to be late, and she pulls over. She tried to help the injured dog. There was a man jogging by that saw the dog in its distress and torn up pretty bad, and he stopped to help as well. And she and the man loaded the German Shepherd, which is a fairly sizable dog, obviously, into her car, and immediately took it to a local veterinary hospital. And when she arrived at the hospital, the staff took the dog, put him on a gurney, and provided emergency, medical and veterinary care to the animal. The staff advised Liz later that they were able to save the dog that had been hit by a car. And when she called up, they had good news, which was good stuff, and she had learned that the dog survived. The Environmental Health Director, Mary Lou Leonard, who's with us and will provide a couple words about Liz, was there, and she nominated Liz for this and said that she does a great job at work, and she obviously does a great job in her personal life and cares about the community we live in and its animals and you know, living creatures that can't help themselves. It's kind of a fairly selfless act to do that. And everything. So I want to say thank you so much on behalf of the mayor, on behalf of the whole city of Albuquerque for doing that day and for being such a good employee. And I'd also like to wish you a very happy birthday, which is tomorrow. So happy birthday. Let's give her a hand. But Mary Lou, would you like to say a couple of words?
I want to welcome Liz's family. Dan Jones was a former city employee, so we're so tickled to have him back, and her mom, Sue, is that right? Sue? Yeah. And her two sisters and very young nephew are also here to share with us. Liz is in the Strategic Support Division of the Environmental Health Department, and she is just one of those silent heroes that every single day comes in and does a phenomenal job for us. And you rarely even know she's here, and you have to just, you know, kind of pull things out of her. But there is just a hero and a giant behind this very silent and special person. And she comes from a dog-loving family. She has 2 dogs of her own, and oftentimes she'll tell you, if you ask, she'll tell you all about them. And I just know she has such a huge heart for people and for animals, and she definitely exhibited it on this July morning, and we're so proud of her. Thank you.
Thank you. Liz, would you like to say a couple words? No? If you would, please, feel free.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And what we have for Liz is the Samaritan Award, and it'll be signed by the mayor. He usually signs it up here, but he's not here. We'll get it signed for you. But it basically thanks you for your dedication to community service and to the people, and in this case, the animals of the city of Albuquerque. And we have this very humble mug for you from the city of Albuquerque. And again, I just want to say thank you so much for doing this. It's the small stuff like this that really shows how big a heart and how good, how much goodness people have. And obviously, you're full of it. And I couldn't wish you a happier birthday as you have it tomorrow. Yep. And thanks for your family for coming down too. That's awesome that they could come, and your bosses and some of the folks you work with, your coworkers. Cool. Let's give her a hand. So this is a great story, which involves our volunteer of the month, and Evelina Gonzalez is a real showpiece for our community, particularly in education and particularly in the community schools program, which is an awesome program. It's received national acclaim. I've seen it on some of the national broadcast television shows, and its director now is going to Washington to lead this national program of community schools, which we started right here with folks like you here in Albuquerque. So it's a real showpiece. It really is. And obviously it's a showpiece because of the people that work there, like Evelina. Yep, and volunteer there. So we're recognizing Evelina Gonzalez as our volunteer of the month for making sure students at a local elementary school have a meal to eat while they're away from school. And it's kind of an important part of the community schools program. It's a really important part to it, to make sure we have good nutrition and regular eating and things like that, because a lot of these kids come from situations where they may not be, that might not be available to them so much. So in September 2014, Evelina began volunteering in her grandson's first grade classroom at Inez Elementary School. Yep. And she'd volunteer to perform simple tasks, making copies, helping out with classroom needs, and that's a great grandma that would come help out, her grandson and the other kids. And in the fall of 2015, key leadership with Inez Elementary extended an invitation to the Children's Choice Child Care Services to act as their ABC Community School lead partner. Inez's leadership also requested that the Children's Choice provide their before and after school programs. So when an organization agrees to become an ABC Community Schools lead partner, they agree to provide services and support and additional funding for the programs under the scope of the ABC Community Schools. So soon after the Children's Choice agreed to act as Inez's lead partner, Evelina began volunteering with them before and after school programs, which is really an important component as well, because it's kind of a holistic approach to education, the family, the community, and everything in between. In conjunction with promoting the philosophies of Inez's ABC Community Schools, she worked in that particular regard. Along with a group of Inez's teachers and parents, Evelina realized it was necessary for the group to have a discussion about the basic needs of the students and their families and the staff to determine how they could help each student's unique circumstances succeed. And from those conversations, Inez Elementary Schools had a weekend food backpack program that was conceived, which is another very innovative, new, developed improvement for the program. And so during the 2016 and 2017 school year, Evelina helped organize and pack approximately 50 backpacks per week, and that's probably not an easy task, Evelina. And they were basically these backpacks that were packed with those necessities that students could take home and have a continuing, after they leave the school environment, program of nutrition with education. So each backpack included breakfasts, lunches, snacks, and things like that. And Evelina went even above and beyond to solicit food and money donations so that those nutritional food supplies could be bought. So through the collective efforts of Evelina and Children's Choice and Rochelle, Ms. Ford, with the support of Inez's elementary neighborhood and churches, the students were provided this vital nutritional food for the weekends with no questions asked. And Evelina is now retired. She retired after 40 years at CNM, so obviously education and young people were in your heart. Thank you so much, including your grandson. And following her retirement, she knew she wanted to give back, and I guess with a great-looking grandson like that, it probably makes you happy to be that close to it, yeah. And so, she's been volunteering 3 years ago. She's donated over 1,400 hours of her time. 15 to 20 hours per week she volunteers, and that weekend food backpack program is something for her to be proud of. She finds joy in helping teachers and the school staff and the children succeed, and I guess your reward is the smiles and hugs and your grandson, for sure. It's for these reasons that Evelina is being recognized by the City of Albuquerque, Mayor Berry, and all of us here in the City of Albuquerque for Volunteer of the Month. If you could give her a big hand. So Sophia Sanchez basically nominated, and she's our volunteer coordinator, and she'd like to give a couple brief remarks about some of the good work you do, Sophia.
Hello, so I'm Sophia, and I'm the ABQ volunteer coordinator in the mayor's office. Thank you, Mr. Perry. And, what we try to do with ABQ volunteers is really create a culture of service in Albuquerque, which isn't hard with people like Evelina in our community. And she saw an issue in her school, and she addressed it herself, and she got other people to come in and contribute. So we're really proud of you. Just know that we have a board of leaders that in the nonprofit sector in this city that reviewed your nomination, and you're a star. So we're really excited that we get to honor you today. And you're not only a great example for your grandson, but all those kids that see you doing this. So thank you for keeping that up. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to ask Rochelle and Evelina to say a couple words, but I wanted to give you the award itself, which is, we have to have the mayor sign it. You heard, and I apologize, and I know he apologizes too. But we have that award for Albuquerque Volunteer of the Month, and I want to give you a hug too.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Give your mother a hug. Yeah. Rochelle, you want to say a couple words? I know you're probably pretty close on the ground on this program.
Of course. Yeah. We are just delighted that we have volunteers like Evelina at our school. I think it does make a real impression on our students, on our families, on our neighborhood, and it just really is amazing what Evie does for our community school without even thinking about it. As I've been sharing the news with others that she's received this award, she's been very humble and very thankful. So I think, again, that's just a true testament to who she is. And I am proud to call her a friend, too. So it's just been a real honor to be involved in this and to have her receive this award and to have her family and friends involved as well. So thank you for coming today.
Evelina, would you like to say a couple words?
Thank you.
That's everybody's thank you, yeah. Well, let me also thank your family and friends for coming too. That's awesome. That kind of support, obviously, I'm not surprised. I want to thank everybody for coming. These were 3 great stories about some of the community give back, and we're just so fortunate to have people like our public servants and our Samaritans and our volunteers in the community. So Liz, thank you. Paul, thank you. And all the folks and family that you have, thank you again. Have a great day, great weekend. Yep. You're welcome. That's awesome. Thank you so much.